key to achieving your goals, becoming rich and respected, comes down to one surprisingly simple habit I noticed almost every successful person used when they were starting out on the road to making their first $10,000. So there are three major topics you need to understand to develop this habit. Number one is the nature of our brain when it comes to forming any habit. Number two is the habit itself. And number three is creating a system so clear that it becomes almost impossible to procrastinate. The human brain is what sets us apart from every other species, and within it lies a powerful system that controls nearly everything you feel driven to do. The nucleus accumbens. Think of it as your brain's command center that detects pleasure and fuels motivation, and it runs on dopamine. Dopamine is the reason you can lose hours scrolling without even realizing it. It's also the same force that can help you build a business, get in shape, or master a skill. So how does the same chemical make some people unstoppable and others stuck? Every time you take an action, your brain releases dopamine based on the result of that action. Take Tom, for example. He wants to write a book, but each morning he spends 2 hours on Instagram. That's the action. His brain releases dopamine, and from dopamine, Tom feels good, and so he repeats the action. And each time he does it, the habit circuit strengthens, urging him to check Instagram again and again and again until it becomes automatic. But your dopamine is a limited resource, and it runs out at some point. Let's say Tom wakes up with 10,000 dopamine points, checks his notifications, 1,000 points gone, watches television over breakfast, another 3,000 points gone, an hour of gaming, 5,000 points gone. And by the time he sits down to write, he's left with barely 1,000 dopamine points. So here's the thing you need to understand. When your dopamine is already spent on low-value activities, your brain simply doesn't have the energy to focus on difficult, important work, which means to do what truly matters, you need sufficient dopamine reserves. When your dopamine is high, you're ready for challenge. When it's low, you crave comfort and instant gratification, like checking social media, hopping on a video game, or doing some unwanted activity that's highly stimulating to you. And when you repeat that loop enough times, your brain rewires itself to prefer the easy hit over the hard work. So now you know how habits are formed and wired by dopamine, but there's one simple choice you make every morning that can either drain your focus or boost it for the rest of the day. And it happens in your first waking hour. What you do in that first hour quietly shapes your next 5 years. Let's compare 2 mornings. In morning 1, you wake up, grab your phone, and lose 3 hours to games, shorts, or reels. When it's finally time to do the work that matters, the work that could change your life, maybe even let you retire your parents, how motivated do you feel? Probably, you've got no drive left. You've already burned your brain's dopamine on easy, high-stimulation distractions. Now your mind simply doesn't care about rewards that take time to arrive. Morning 2, you wake up, skip anything that spikes dopamine early, and spend the first 4 to 6 hours on your business, your health, or learning a high-income skill. By the end of it, how much progress would you have made? How much satisfaction would you have earned? How guilt-free would you feel binging your favorite series, scrolling or gaming at night, knowing you've already won the day? Here's the point. You don't need to quit social media or live like a monk. We're not eliminating dopamine. The goal is to use it strategically and direct it toward what matters most. High performers and leaders refuse to spike their dopamine early until their most important work is done. They know that if something feels more exciting than their goals, their motivation will collapse. They do the hard things first, so that by the time they allow themselves a bit of entertainment, the day is already a win. But there's more to it, because the problem comes when you could do this perfectly for a few days and still quit. Not because you're lazy, but because your goal isn't clear enough to keep you in the game. You can't stay committed to a goal you can't see. To practice this habit consistently, you must be crystal clear on what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, you don't know what to work on or what to learn. And if you don't know what to learn, you've no idea what to think about or do. So you do a lot, but achieve very little. So here's how to make your system impossible to ignore. Step 1, lock in your long-term vision. To set a meaningful long-term vision, the first and most important step is to clarify the date. What's the exact date and year you'll aim for? For instance, if today is the 1st of June 2025, your deadline becomes the 1st of June 2026. Now ask yourself, what's the one achievement you'd be proud to have accomplished by then? Write it down in detail, but it should be reasonably unreasonable. Let's say Tom is broke with 0 skills and no momentum. If he says, I'm going to become a millionaire by next year, that's delusional. But if the goal is too small, it won't be worth sacrificing for. So your goal must lie just outside your comfort zone. Step 2, break that vision into monthly milestones. This is the part that trips most people up. They set a long long-term goal and expect progress to be linear. When it doesn't happen, we panic and quit. You've got to be comfortable with exponential progress, which is slow, then sudden. Think of it this way. For the next 6 months, give it everything. Build your business. Learn the skills. Adjust every 30 to 60 days, even if results aren't immediate. Because by the time your deadline rolls around, you'll be ready to scale. Step 3. Reverse engineer the win. Most people set results-based goals like, I want to make $5,000 this month. There's nothing wrong with that. But results aren't in your control. Actions are. So set results-based goals for the long term, but weekly, focus only on actions. Instead of saying, I want to make $10,000, say, I'll send 50 cold emails and aim to book 10 sales calls this week, no matter what. That's where your energy should go, into the process. To decide what to work on each week, use the 80-20 rule, which says 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Ask yourself, if I only had 2 hours to work this week, what would I do? That becomes your number one priority. Now think, what specific task would you commit to this week based on that priority? This is where you get obsessed, hour by hour. I don't expect most people are still here watching, but if you are, my friend, you know it already. If you can resist those cheap dopamine hits first thing in the morning, and instead put your energy into the work that actually builds income, or into practicing a high-income skill every single day for a year or two, your life won't look anything like it does now. And you already feel it deep down in your gut that if you don't do this, you already know exactly where you'll end up. Dragging yourself into a job you hate, watching your 20s dissolve into a blur of mediocrity, staring at the ceiling at night, wondering if you'll ever create anything that truly matters, something bigger than the average, mediocre life most people settle for. And you also know deep down in your gut that if you do commit to this habit, where you'll end up after 2 years of relentless input and massive actions, and you look in the mirror and hardly recognize the reflection staring back at you. You open your banking app, and the numbers make you smile in disbelief. You walk into a shop, buy your mum or your loved ones the gift they're always wanted. Or you're stood at the airport, tickets in hand, taking your family on holiday. And not once do you worry about money. And yes, it's not easy. It feels uncomfortable. But let's be honest. You didn't click on this video because you wanted a comfortable life, did you? So tomorrow morning when your alarm goes off, resist yourself, engaging in high dopaminergic activities and engage with a habit that builds your future.